All right, this is our uh portion of the day led by our brother Benjamin, where we give the commandments of the Most High and we elaborate a little bit on the commandments. And we were discussing Leviticus 19 and 20, which led into the portion of us speaking about how a person is redeemed. So that's the process where we at right now. We just clarified a lot of that. We're going to move on. Amy, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, I wanted to, because you brought up like if we did it in modern, like not modern day, but if we did it now in our present time, like I think the reason why so many people are apprehensive to even approach the subject to someone who they could be maid or male or a female servant to, or bondswoman or bondsman to, because a lot of times we just don't trust the righteousness in one another. And even like me, myself, who have just witnessed someone becoming a bondswoman to people that I know and how she's being treated and how it all came about, it was not done in righteousness. So it just, it's like, even though it's part of who we are, and we know that it can be done, and that's the best way to be able to help one another in those ways. Like you said, you don't have to marry a woman to help her, or marry somebody's daughter. It could just be as simple as, hey, y'all come and do this, and we work hand in hand. We help y'all, y'all help us. But because so many people do it, I won't say so many people, because it's done in unrighteousness, and those who hold that position to be able to do it righteously, they don't do it righteously. And when those people who succumb to that unrighteousness go and talk about it to others, because in Israel, we know bad news spreads 100 times more than good news spreads. So when that's done, that puts a taint on the history in our culture, and it's then harder to get someone to say, I'm not like that. And then they're like, but yeah, but the last time I heard about this, this person in this position did this, and look at how that affected that woman and her children, or that man and his family. So I think it's, how do we, in those instances, especially if we know of it, how do we, go to correct it, or, so that, that's not something that's being spread through Israel as a bad thing, versus it's a cultural thing and it can be done righteously.
Well, the individual would have to have a parameter on how long they intend to serve the other family and what their intentions are in that servitude toward that family. A lot of times, the individual who sold themselves into that servitude might come along the way and all of a sudden change their mind during the process and be wrong in the accusations that they make. You only hearing one side of the story is never good. So before when a person comes into that situation and they want to be relieved from that situation, there should be a hearing on that. There should be a meeting on that to discuss why and for what reasons. Because if you said I'll be here and serve you for 10 years, well, let's say a year, can't do 10 years. It's up to 7 years. And in that 7th year, a decision has to be made, like Sister said, whether you want to stay or not. So in that 7th year, let's say on the 4th year or the 2nd year, after you committed yourself to 7 years, in that 2nd year, you now say, oh, I don't want to do this no more. You just can't up and leave, because you will be violating your word that you gave. And all that family did to provide for you was in vain now, because you more than likely haven't paid your way for all that they had to put out to make sure you had the 3 necessary things in life: food, clothing, and shelter. So more than likely, you would have gotten away with something and it will be unlawful and unrighteous on your behalf. But now, if you're just being mistreated, then yes, you find the laws and you bring that brother or that sister up before leadership on charges. There are always ways to bring about righteousness and justice. The thing is, we have to get the community formed first. with like-minded brothers and sisters who really want to serve the Creator. Once we get that established, up and running and flourishing, then we can have those type of things implemented in place, and we can do it lawfully. Like the one sister you just mentioned. She had no recourse. She had nowhere to go. If she was truly treated bad, as she say, she had nowhere to go. So what she do? She packed up and left. She violated the law. She should have brought that individual up on charges, made a public address, and dealt with that righteously and honorably before the rest of the nation. But through leadership, not just pack up and leave and start talking bad about the individual. She should have came to leadership, got a couple leaders together to bring whoever her master was up on charges and make accusations against how he treated her. We have courts established for that purpose, or we just have leaderships established. You just have to have elders, a group of righteous elders that is known for making decisions within a nation, qualified people. And then you have that hearing, you have that sit down. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, then you go to the courts and get the courts to handle it. You know, it's always a way to do it when you want to do righteously. Are there any questions or comments?
Okay, Toda.
All right. Next up, we have Sister Autumn. Would you like to give us your commandment?
Sure. My commandment is that the children of Israel should wear border of blue on their garments and fringes throughout all the generations. And I believe this is to remind us of the law and to keep the law. You can also wear tzitzits.
What's the difference between the two?
I'm honestly not sure. I think one is just a ribbon that you sew it around, and the tzitzit is something you clip on, but that's really all I know.
All right, thank you for being honest. Most people have a difficult time in being honest and saying that they don't know something. They try to cover
Of course.
camouflage it and put on the image as if they do know, and they don't know. But in reality, they're the same thing. Fringes, it is just up to the translator. Zitziot is the word. Okay,
Fringes and tzitzits are the same.
same thing. People just do them, form them differently. Like some people put a border around the complete bottom of a garment and put a ribbon of blue around that. And some people just have the things that they call tonsils. And that's what they have on their garments. I wear both. To me, it don't matter as long as you got fringes on. I don't care which one it is.
Does the tzitzits have to have blue on it?
Both of them have to have blue in them, a ribbon of blue around them. Yes, there has to be a ribbon of border of blue around the fringe. That's what makes it lawful. And another thing is that I like to use that as not just as the two laws that you mentioned, but also as a reminder to let people see that you are of that secret community. You know, I say secret, but y'all know what I mean. The nation of Israel within a nation. We're a nation within a nation. So that makes us secret. So when you see someone with that on, no matter what their religious beliefs are, it makes you smile. It brings you joy just to see somebody else that understands as you understand. It's a part of family. Usually I just greet them and be happy with them. Shabbat shalom, bro. Shabbat shalom, sis. And just keep it moving. And hey, where you from? What community? Sometimes we'll exchange numbers. But that's also the purpose of those fringes as well. So you can recognize each other. Plus you can have a sense of bond with other people. Imai, you got your hand up?
And wasn't it as a punishment?
How was fringes a punishment?
Well, when I first was introduced to the process of wearing Hazitiot, it was said that it was given to us as a punishment because of our ancestors going with what the nations did, and the Most High told them not to. And so he said, from now, this is what you must wear as a punishment,
Well,
as a to remind you every day when you look upon it, the law, statutes, and commandments. So I know, because when I was understanding that, it was like people were just saying, oh, it's, you can or cannot, but it's a commandment. And it was a commandment because of what our ancestors did incorrectly.
All right. So what I would like for you to do is when you get time in your leisure time, find that scripture where it says it was a punishment.
Okay.
And if it's there, then so be it. But Prince is not familiar with that as a punishment. And
Okay.
I see it as a punishment.
I don't see it as a punishment either. I see it as a, whenever you look on it, you remember the statutes, not necessarily as a punishment, because a punishment means that when you're punishing somebody, it's sort of like a burden that you're putting on that person, you know, to wear this thing. I don't see it as a burden or something that is negative. I see it as something that the Creator allowed you to have so that you could remember all the statutes and the judgments that He's put in place for you to live by. And so punishment, that's interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, sure is. All right. Brother Benjamin, I think that's it for the speakers.
We have Sister Priscilla left. And Brittany and Sister Laurel.
Okay. I meant just that portion of subject.
All right, Sister Priscilla, would you like to give us a commandment?
Yes. My commandment is let me see how to put it. Okay, so if a man steals property from a neighbor, whether it be an animal or any property that he steals, and he gets caught and he no longer possess that property, he has to restore it the value of 4 times as much, 4 to 5 times as much. And if he is caught in the act, or if they caught him with the product or the property, and it's in good condition, he just has to pay double the value. That's my commandment. I thought that was so interesting. You just don't give it back. You have to pay more than you stole.
Why do you think that is?
Because you caused disruption in the lives of the people you stole it from, and you have to pay back for what you call emotional stuff.
Imagine if it was only if you got caught with it, you just got to return it. Imagine that. Then what will stop people from doing it? If all I got to do is give it back, well, I keep on stealing.
Yeah, so it was a deterrent. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is good.
This is teaching us how to live.
This is
We're
good.
going to know the law. We're going to be, dealing with each other on a higher level of discipline and righteousness because we understand the law.
So this is a place where you can sell yourself also, if you don't have the means to pay it back to 4 times as much.
Explain that, sis.
Well, you can instead of trying to
Yeah.
instead of trying to like hustle to pay back, in that way you can sell yourself as a servant in servitude for paying back all this thing that you stole.
That's right. Understood. Very good point.
Right. Next up, we have Sister Laurel. Would you like to give us a commandment?
Oh, yes. Shalom Shabbat.
Shalom.
Shalom Shabbat, everyone. Yes, my commandment is, are we kings on this line? Is there any kings on this line? Okay, there's none, evidently. Anyway, my commandment is kings shall not or should not multiply wives or silver and gold.
Where you see that commandment at, sis? Do you remember that in the scripture?
Yeah, Devarim 17:17.
Can you go there?
And the reason for it, is because their heart or their love
Sister Laura?
may be turned away. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you go there and read that scripture?
The reason for it, I'm saying the reason for it is so that their heart is not turned away from the Most High.
Absolutely. You said that they shall not multiply their wives or silver and gold, correct?
Right.
Okay, so if you can go to that scripture and read it. maybe-
Okay, I'll do that.
Maybe we can clear it up a little bit. It's a very good command.
Okay,
Where are you?
I'm right here. I'm getting it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He said, where are you? She said, I'm right here. Hmm.
Okay. The king must not take many wives for himself, because they will turn his heart away from the Most High. And he must not accumulate large amounts of silver and gold. I'm not getting all of it.
And what
Yeah,
chapter?
that's it. That's it.
What
He
chapter? is
must
it?
not accumulate large amounts of silver and gold. That's Devarim chapter 17, verse 17.
You know, I never paid attention to that second part. I never paid attention to that second part. Never. Thank you for bringing it out.
What
sis.
chapter and verse again? I'm sorry.
Deuteronomy.
Devarim chapter 17, verse 17.
Never paid attention. Now I can understand the science behind it, so I'll explain a little bit. The king, in order for the king to rule in righteousness, his marriage should be to the people. So if he got too many wives, and his loyalty is to all the wives that he got, then it lessens the amount of time and attention that he can pay to the people. Therefore, he should not multiply and have too many wives. Now, in that multiplication, I don't know how many is too many for him to be multiplying. But I would think that a man walking around here with 200 wives is way beyond what a man needs.
Oh, think of Solomon.
I'm getting ready to say it. And then, but see, Solomon wasn't the only one, because Dawid had a whole bunch of them too. And
Yeah.
Dawid was the apple of the Most High's eye. So did he break that command? Possibly he did. Possibly he did. But the second portion of that commandment is what baffles me a little bit, where it says, he shall not multiply himself silver and gold. He shouldn't be a hoarder of silver and gold, because the king, we got to remember this, the king's primary goal is to provide for the people.
That's right.
Exactly, to serve the people.
That's right.
So if he's serving the people, then he has to make sure that the people are provided for. And which means that if he's keeping all that silver and gold to himself, he can't possibly dissimulate and give out where it's needed in the midst of the people. So that's what I see by that area. It's not that he can't have a lot of gold and a lot of silver, but it is that he must take the gold and the silver that he has and supply the needs of the kingdom, as opposed to his own needs. And the same thing with a wife. If a man has many wives, his wives should be serving a purpose to the nation. If they're not, then what's the use in him having all the wives?
That's right.
I can
And
see,
the
I
verse
can see,
before-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
the verse before that talks about horses, should not multiply horses. So that's verse 16. So apparently the king is not to multiply a lot of stuff.
I
Oh.
think it has to do with power and money. Because it has to do with the worship of power and money over serving the people. You know, and the king was not to think of himself as greater than the people that he served, but he should serve the people in righteousness. According to what I read, he was not to think of himself as greater than his brethren, because he was there actually to not only to rule, but to serve the people. And when you multiply horses, which is which they used in war, or they used in, you know, defense, when you multiply money and wives, that can bring your household down too, because you have a lot of conflicts. You can't rule over a whole bunch of wives.
Hmm. I wouldn't
have a
want
lot
to
of
be in that
conflicts.
man's. I wouldn't want to be in that king's shoes.
You have a lot of conflicts within your own family and your own home, and it brings a lot of problems, you know. And as when you can't serve the creator as well when you have a lot of that stuff on your brain.
It's called distractions.
Yeah. So I think that's what it's might be about: power, money, and it doesn't give you the ability to do what you're supposed to be doing, what your function is on that. You can't function well on that in that capacity if you do this. So,
Yes, a king can have multiple wives. He just can't be having, he's not supposed to have 2 and 3 and 4, even 50 is a lot of women. But, you know,
mhm.
so he didn't say add, he said multiply. So that shows you he's talking about an excessive amount.
Excessive amount, yes, absolutely.
All right, very good. Todarabah.
Uh,
All right, next up we have Sister Brittany. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this portion of our lesson, but we all like to give a commandment other than the 10 Commandments. Would you like to give us one today?
Yeah, I was trying to follow how it was going. I guess next time I could be more prepared, but I was thinking, there shall not be found among you one who practices witchcraft.
Okay, so can you explain that to us, sis?
I would say right now what I'm seeing in today's world is the trickery of our people going into witchcraft without knowing it. I think a lot of the sayings of people like with manifestations and purchasing and getting into stones and thinking that all of their positivity or energy are coming from stones. Not to say that you can't find the usage of stones in scriptures, but in the way that they're doing it to, for self-glorification of what they can bring and do for themselves.
That's good that you brought that up. Well, first I want to ask you, what is your understanding of a witch?
I lately when I've been reading, I look into witchcraft as when you're trying to do anything outside of the alignment of the Most High. So I think as a woman, you know, when you're dating, married, you know, any manipulation of your spouse, with other people, to have your own way, to do your own thing.
Good. I like that. I like that. Very good example. All right. The video that I wanted to play earlier dealt with that subject. I'm going to play it, but I got two videos that I want to play depending on the time that we have. One of them dealt with voodoo. And then the other one dealt with Christianity. I want to let you know why I think it's so important that we watch these videos. Because the reason why it's so important is because we must have a thorough understanding of the forces that are present in our everyday life. You know, if you walk into a situation and you don't speak the language, or you're not familiar with the language of that situation, then you won't understand where you are. You won't know what you're doing, and you won't know how to prevent yourself from being a part of something that is unlike the Most High. You won't know. Also, because the Europeans tell you something is evil, don't mean that it's evil. So that's another thing that I want you to see. I asked a sister about witchcraft, and I asked her why, because most people have no understanding of what a witch is. People teach us an interpretation of what a witch is, but most people don't know what a witch is. So let's watch this video. Well, let me give my commandment first. And sis, that was a very good command. Thank you for that. My commandment would be that if a person be found with leprosy, then he is to go unto the priest in those days and allow the priest to pronounce whether it's leprosy or for sure or not. He should be locked up for a certain amount of days. And then afterwards, the priest is to go in to check again to see if the leprosy has spread or not, to pronounce the man clean or unclean. If the leprosy has spread through the man's body, but has not completely covered his body, then the man is unclean. If the leprosy has completely covered his flesh, then the priest can pronounce him clean. That's the law. Are there any questions? All right. Well, we're going to start our video. Does anyone have anything that they would like to say before we start the video? Can everybody hear me? Can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. You can see I was already watching this one video. So we're going to start it from its beginning. This was actually the second video I wanted to watch, but what I'll do is I'll play this one first, and then I'll go back to the next one. We're going to watch a little bit of this. Y'all ready? Here we go.
We can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear. All right, that's what I wanted to check. Let me see what I'm doing wrong.
It was just going in and out.
Okay, let's see, I'll get the screen. All right, let me think. These people was teaching me how to do this last week. Let me do it again. Stop sharing. Chat, pause. Reaction. Screen share. Share sound. Video. Tell me if you can y'all hear me?
Yes, we hearing you.
Man,
Tell me if you can hear the video, okay?
Come on, jump on your feet.
Can y'all hear it?
We can't see it though.
Okay, yeah, but it's still, it says it's still sharing.
Okay, hold on. To share computer audio, cancel. All right, tell me if you can hear it.
No,
A little bit.
a little bit.
Can you hear
Oh, I
it?
can't.
It's a little bit, it's kind of breaking up and it's low. You want to share your screen, your audio. Just make sure you share them both.
I
It
tried.
looked like it was loading. It was just taking its time to load from my screen.
All right, let me try it again, and then y'all tell me if it's coming through.
No sound.
This is as a point of contact.
Yes.
Now, the
All right, is it playing and listening?
Yes, just choppy a little, but go ahead.
You can hear it and see it, right?
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
If there's any problems, let me know, and I'll try to fix it. Here we go.
I've just started now. Deliverance, just right now, just right now, just right now. Come out! Any power holding any member of the family in the name of Jesus.
This is a healing and miracle service in Nigeria. Prophet Elijah Dankono leads a congregation of more than 2,000 members, and today he's exorcising demons out of people who he believes have been corrupted by practices outside of Christianity. Nearly half of Nigeria is Christian, but the church now faces a challenge. The country is in the midst of a global movement, Black people leaving the church, and they're joining millions of Africans who already practice their ancestral beliefs. Dankanu is among the many religious leaders trying to stop them. The fact that young people are moving towards traditional African spirituality and leaving the church, why are you concerned about this? Yeah.
These people, they ought not to go back to what they have left or what their fathers have left. In the name of Jesus. Christianity brought a clear civilization, spiritually and physically. African spirituality is the same as Satanism or demonism. It will definitely aim at human sacrifice.
Did y'all hear what he just said?
okay.
It wasn't clear for me.
It's not clear. He says African spirituality is the same as Satanism or demonism, as if he doesn't understand the history of Christianity. I was invited to a talk show the other day on a phone. My sister from Cincinnati invited me to come in and hear some people talk one night when I was in my house chilling, minding my business. So I turned on and I listened, and there was a bunch of foolishness and chaos and arguing. A lot of stuff going on, everybody trying to get their point across. It was so much confusion going on. But anyway, so the topic was about Jesus being the creator, and the only way to real salvation was through Jesus and all that stuff. So I had the opportunity to speak, and what I pulled was a scripture in Revelations chapter 22, chapter 16, verse 22. And in Revelation 16 and 22, JC says that he's the bright and morning star. He says he's the offshoot of David, and he is the bright and morning star. Then I took him back to took him back to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 and 13, where it talked about the bright morning star being Lucifer. Then I took him to 2 Philippians, where Paul says that the angel of death or angel of darkness shall be transformed into an angel of light. The whole house was quiet. Everybody shut up. Everybody was listening. And then they thought about it for a little while. Then they came back with their rebuttals. Most people don't understand that JC is the devil, the evil one, the one turning so many people away from the Most High. He will be the wicked one. But they don't understand that because they're giving their heart and their soul and their energy and their spirit and their time over to that idolatry, that they ignore the things that are said by that same idol that they worship, supposedly by that idol. Right? It's just, we got to be real sensitive. We have to know what's around us, who's around us, and what they're speaking about. Even with our own people, we have to be circumspect, because a lot of people will say shalom to you, but they have no good intentions for you. And we tend to think that whoever says shalom, shalom, and say they're Hebrew and say they're Israelites, mean us good. And that's not always true. So you have to have a discerning spirit. And what I say about a discerning spirit is you prove the people by their works, not just by what they say. If a person is coming to you saying shalom, shalom, but 90% of the conversation, even 50% of the conversation that y'all are having, they're talking about somebody else, or they're talking about doing things that are unrighteous, or they're glorifying themselves. You have to be mindful of those type of people, because they don't have any good intentions toward you, trying to get your salvation straight with the Most High King. So let's watch a little bit more of the video. I pray this a little bit better for the rest of you. And then after we watch some of this, I want to play one more video. And then any questions you got, write them down, and we can have discussion on this in a few. Here we go.
So how would you respond if someone says that traditional African spirituality is harmless?
To me, it's harmful.
Christianity was brought to Nigeria by European.
One more thing I want to make mention. You all do know that Africans don't look like Hebrews, right? The bone structure is different than ours. And you have to look at it. You can tell when a person is Hebrew. Usually you can tell by looking at their bone structure. Africans look distinctly African. Hebrew Israelites look more like Black people in America. When the Africans sold our ancestors into slavery to the white man, they didn't sell Africans. They sold Hebrew people to the white man for gunpowder, for salt, for different things. But they sold a certain sect of people who lived in Africa to the white man. And that's what a lot of us don't know. Save your questions to after, write your questions down, and then ask your questions afterwards, because we're going to try to get through this. All right. So they didn't sell Africans or their fellow Africans. They sold the Hebrew people that were sojourning in Africa to the Europeans. Let's read on. Let's listen.
Colonizers who coerced Africans to accept it. A tool to so-called civilize Africa, but also to control its people. Christians here face persecution too, but abandoning the religion or even being suspected of doing so can have consequences, social stigma, or even death. But that's not stopping Africans from leaving.
Now we're going to talk about, they're going to bring up some Africans that left the Christian religion and returned back to the teachings of their forefathers. Now one of the remarkable things about this is that this brother has gravitated, he's a younger guy, but he gravitated more to the Western concept of worship, but yet he mingled it in with the ancient culture of his forefathers. And they call what he's doing evil and wicked. I have not watched the whole video, but what I did notice is that when one of his brothers was talking, he talked about the Creator, the Almighty, not the multiple or the plural deities that we understand that the Africans worshipped. So let's just see what we can get out of this.
But this spread money, I get the check with that. I get to hear one of the cash that in the and I get someone want to check and look at me now, watch me now, your man don't they want to buy one.
Emeka Audi is a radio DJ, music producer going by the name Blue Magic. He's Igbo, which is one of Nigeria's largest ethnic groups.
We're going to try this spot now.
A few years ago, he started connecting more with his heritage when he began dabbling in the rituals of Igbo spirituality, known as Omenana.
I used to pray against my dad, actually, because he was never a Christian. I felt it was like that devil, right?
Because he was a Christian.
Yes, exactly.
Now, do you see the difference in his bone structure? Of course, he has a lot of weight in his face, but do you see the difference in his bone structure than hers? There's a big difference. You can see the difference in their blood and how it has come out in the features that they display, physical features that they display in their face. Another thing is most Africans don't have beards, but this man has facial hair. Now, I don't know if Africans don't grow facial hair. I don't know. But to me, he looks more African than he does Hebrew. But I don't know. I don't see him in person. I really can't say. But she definitely looks Hebrew. Let's read on. Let's watch. Let's see.
I just felt like I didn't belong to church. Then I just woke up one morning and, just stopped going to church.
Just like that, just one morning.
Joining Omenana, it helped me to know myself. It helped me to be in touch with myself, to learn about myself. My dad was a very strong traditionalist, right? He always tells me, you belong to this land, you belong to this place. I think it was after he died that I started yearning to go back to the village to learn more of my roots, learn more of my ancestry line, and he would really be happy with me. My mom will not really be happy with me right now. She was really devoted in church.
Now, his mother looked Hebrew. His father looked Hebrew, but he looks a lot more African to me. Now, did you see how he had the Louis Vuitton symbol on his bed when he was just showing that last video? That's what I mean by the Western influence. Money, cars, women. They're really influencing the indigenous people of many places to take on the Western ideal and concept and thought. But he is returning through all the Westernization that he's received, he's returning back to his traditional culture of his forefathers. But let's see, let's watch.
Omenana is part of a belief system called Ordinani. Followers honor divine spirits found throughout nature. Odi is preparing for the Saraka, a gathering where the faithful present offerings to the gods.
Now she said gods, but look what that man says. All Elohim Almighty, the creator. I don't see anything plural about that. If they're translating it correctly, they might not be, but if they are, he's only praying to one power. This is the part that I was talking about, but it appears as if he's only praying to one power, the creator, if they translated it correctly. So let's see.
Okonkwo Ede is a medium and Odi's spiritual advisor, or Dibia.
I'm on a mission to salvage our people, to clean up the land.
You see how these young men look? Which one of them look African to you? I don't see any of them that looks African to me. To me, I don't see it. I could be wrong, but they look like little Hebrew men. That's what they look like to me, but I could be wrong. Let's read on. Let's watch on.
Our people have been defeated, fed with so many lies, false teaching.
So it sounds like you're talking about Christianity coming into Africa. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Christianity, they are our virus.
A virus?
Yeah, they are killing our people. They came here to exploit Africa.
Audie is becoming more confident in his spiritual path, but it's created discomfort between him and his sister.
To be very honest, it's scary
What's scary?
having to tell everyone this is what I believe and have some people not accepting you for who you are. Because that's what I'm expecting to happen. I'm expecting to see someone who I used to normally discuss with and feel free because they thought I was a Christian, right? I expect them to see me and not greet me the way they used to greet me before.
Tonight, Blue's hoping to have the talk he and his sister have been avoiding for years.
So, man, it's a real delight. It's really no matter. Maybe she figure about it.
You mean name is Olivia. The other side that somehow one day it's likely you need to come back. So I still cover you in prayers, and still hoping that someday we'll still have that common religious practices together. And so I'm not with Jesus.
Before the child, which is in the Christianity. If you don't know these stories, you cannot be fully aware of who you are as a Nigerian. So nothing when I didn't keep this up people on the other side, you understand? But then nothing.
Audie is slowly opening up about his newfound spirituality. He's even planning to put it in his music. Would you say this is like trying to reclaim African identity?
Yes, that's actually what it is. And that's why you keep seeing movies like Black Panther. And that's the reason why you keep seeing people try, like Beyonce doing what she's doing. There's an awakening. This was the original way before the colonization. It has always been a better way to live.
After the Sadaka, Audie brought me to his dibia for a sacred divination called an Afa. In the ceremony, the dibia receives insight into someone's past, present, and future. In Ordinary, lineage and destiny define who you are. This is the first time a dibia will tell me who I am.
What's your village name? Your village?
Obaru, Odekpe, Obaru, Odekpe,
Odekpe,
in Obaru.
do you pray to your ancestors?
I've never done that.
You need to drink.
You need to talk to them. You know, they
Ask them. They don't know. Ask them for guidance. They will give you.
The dibia uses sacred relics to invite my ancestors into the room. Alcohol and snuff bring him closer to the spiritual world.
Call your name. The way you are called.
Tika, Odua. Yes.
Your face is complicated.
An Afa can go on for hours, as long as the dibia continues to hear from the spirits.
You look at that river. You look at that stream. You float in the night. That's it.
Okay, we're gonna stop there with that one. And we're gonna watch this. Which one was it? Which one was it? I think it was this one. Yeah, this is the one. Let's watch this. Y'all ready? You guys ready?
Good.
This is what a typical voodoo ritual looks like in Benin. But based on pop culture depictions, you might think voodoo is all about human sacrifice and putting curses on people. That stigma plagues voodoo believers like Martine de Souza, a voodoo priestess and historian who has spent almost 20 years trying to demystify her faith. What's the actual source of all the stigma towards voodoo?
You know, all the stigma started when Europeans start to come to Africa. The Catholic Europeans, you know, when they came here, they saw the sort of unity between us. And they know that Africans, they are very strong people. How can we fragilize them? How can we take over those people? I think we will start to tell them that the God that they are worshiping is evil. They should follow our religion. That's how it started.
Reports of ritual crimes continue to cast a shadow over the voodoo community. In 2020, a 7-year-old girl was kidnapped and killed in an incident many attributed to the religion, but worshippers like the Souza dismiss any link. Blood sacrifice is pretty central to voodoo.
Yeah.
But there's also the association with human sacrifice, ritual crimes. How do you grapple with that as a voodoo believer?
We don't sacrifice human beings for voodoo. It happens in the old days, but not now. Voodoo is not negative. Witchcraft is different from voodoo. Witchcraft is the power that people have to fly, to turn themselves into birds or cats or something different, to come to your house, take your soul, make you sick. They can even turn somebody's soul into a goat or chicken and eat it.
Have you seen that? You've seen a bird turn into a human.
And it's because of those people that we are working very hard, because we need to protect people. And Tron, my deity here, Tron, is always fighting the evil people.
Voodoo's reach is global.
She just said her deity, that was a statue, is fighting evil people. All right. Good shot, sis.
There are an estimated 30 million voodoo believers just in West Africa, and even more anywhere else with the history of slavery.
All the people who were taken, who were enslaved, they had their own religion. And today, in New Orleans, in Cuba, in Haiti, in Brazil, in Black America, we have voodoo there today. Because of whom? Because of those people who left. Every January 10th, we have to remember them.
Benin honors that history with an annual voodoo festival, which wouldn't have been possible 30 years ago. Voodoo worship was suppressed by France and all its African and Caribbean colonies, driving it underground even after independence. This had a lasting impact in Benin. Voodoo is a recognized official religion here alongside Christianity and Islam, but only 11% of the population identify as voodoo believers. Some say much larger numbers practice in secret. We're here at the palace of Benin's supreme voodoo leader, who's also referred to as a voodoo pope. He's about to induct voodoo priests and priestesses from around the world as his representatives in their respective countries.
nous revenons vous demander humblement de continuer à nous permettre d'accompagner nos frères et sœurs.
What do you think is misunderstood about voodoo?
Le vaudou est universel. Ce n'est pas les Noirs seulement. Nous sommes les enfants du vaudou. Partout dans le monde entier, il y a le vaudou. Une fois,
See what he said? He said voodoo is all over the world. And there's Black people who are practicing voodoo. You know, many years ago, I put out a post. I think I might even did a lesson on this. Excuse me. I know for a fact that I put out a post that this whole system of government that we're living under, it practices black magic to achieve and maintain its position on the world. And maybe we can talk about that later. But it is definitely a force that is holding people to a docile state that's a lot deeper than what we first see at first glance. We can have that discussion later if you all decide.
tous les se manifestent dans n'importe quelle religion ou dans n'importe quelle région. Donc, il y a le vaudou là. Le vaudou est basé sur les 4 éléments de la nature. Il y a l'air, l'eau, le feu et la terre. L'air, sans l'air, nous ne pouvons pas respirer. Et si l'air s'est coupé pour 5 minutes, que deviendra-t-il l'humanité?
So what's your primary objective? Are you trying to raise awareness, trying to get more initiates into the religion?
Mon objectif principal, c'est que nous, qui sommes des grands prêtres, nous conseillons ceux qui nous complexent de prier pour le monde entier, pour que la paix règne dans le monde entier. Et chez nous en Afrique, et surtout au Bénin aussi. Dans le bien Dieu, nous, on dit le vaudou. C'est tout. Et j'invite à tout le monde
Okay. I want to hear from you all. Can you all hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, I want to hear from you all. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your questions about the 2 videos we just saw. You don't all have to rush to be first, or I can just call on you individually. How would you all like for it to be? Okay. Ima, would you like to speak?
Could you repeat your question, please?
I want to hear your thoughts of the 2 videos that we just saw.
I guess being that I'm kind of familiar with that stuff, being with other people around me who practice some of it, and my mom at the time. So my understanding is that or how I would do it is more idol worshiping. In the first one I did hear what you said, like they didn't speak of plural gods or deities. but I'm not sure who they was referencing as their creator. So I can't say that they were speaking of the Most High, like who we call the Most High. And I wouldn't necessarily I mean, just as my growing and understanding better of what witchcraft is, or not even better, but just a different outlook on what witchcraft is, I wouldn't necessarily that they were saying that we're doing that 100% like in evil ways. I think in some cultures, it's just part of their culture. And I think in the Eastern world where, you know, we all come from, it's hard to determine whose culture is what completely, you know, who started it. But what I will say, I guess, is that everything that is present is present because the creator has allowed it to be. And I believe that as one thing that sparked my interest when the guy was saying that a medium was present, or he was, you know, he was practicing as a medium to bring spirits through him. I do believe that that's definitely possible. And I believe that that's possible because I felt I've experienced that at times, and not in a ritual form of way, just feeling a different spirit at times. But I guess it reminds me of kind of like messengers. Like the Most High can send a messenger to you. And that messenger or that spirit can come into you in a different way or upon you in a different way. And that kind of reminds me of what a medium is in a way. But I think what's done with it is what determines if it's evil or good. You know, that's just my opinion on it. I do agree that there's witchcraft that is definitely not something we should dabble in if there's not a clear understanding of what it is. And if you're still, I think the biggest damage that any of that does is when you're still trying to gain a true relationship with the creator and have true lack of understanding of who you are and what those things are, then, you know, I believe just as anything, it can invoke something inside of you that's not good.
Thank you, Tara.
You're welcome.
All right, Brother Benjamin, Sister Abigail, you guys are up next.
I just want to say, I think a lot of these things were used by us back in the days. I mean, a lot of it was things that we knew how to do, but I feel like a lot of it is, you know, used the wrong way. Like it's being used for evil when those were actually things that we knew as a people, like using the elements of the earth and these type of things for certain things. But I think, like Madai was saying, it's how it's being used would make all the difference. That's pretty much what I see from the videos.
For me, it actually reminds me of when I was growing up. I mean, everybody knows we're from Trinidad, but my parents, they always had, they weren't practicing Hinduism, but they were a little bit involved with Hindus. And there was always a guy, a pundit or whatever, that would come over and read they called it your patra, out of this book, which was like a fortune teller to tell you the future or what direction your life is going in. But I'm a person that always questions things that don't make sense since I was a kid. And I never really believed in listening to a person reading out of a book to tell me where my life is going. And to me, it was a form of manipulation, because if he tells you one thing, you're going to base the rest of your decisions on what he told you. when it could be false.
Very, very true. I've seen family members in New York, like the older generation, bring. There's this thing they used to do where they will like pay for a person to come down from Trinidad or something that will get everybody together, and they all will pay, and this person would like tell them their future and read them, and all this craziness that they used to do. Being a kid, I remember seeing that stuff being done, and it's almost like it was like part of the tradition, because I know a lot of families that was doing that also.
It just seems so manipulative.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
No, that's it.
All right. Sister Laurel, you're next.
The part that I can mention that I noticed is when someone was possessed with demons and he was trying to remove the demon from the individuals, basically. So that's a form of helping someone that is sick or who is possessed. So that's another aspect of it.
Okay. Zante, Shabbat Shalom to you. You're next one.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom. So can you tell us a little bit about the videos that you saw, sis? Your thoughts, your opinions on it?
Okay, that I was watching it, but while I was watching it, it reminds me of like something like witchcraft, and like when you like sacrifice a person's life to the devil, I remember like back home in Jamaica, I heard people usually talk about people is doing like obeism, like working witchcraft on other person, like to keep them down, or so it reminds me of witchcraft thing, like demon, like you worship like the devil, that's what it reminds me of. When a person like sacrifice another person's life, that is my opinion on it.
Very good. Thank you very much, sis.
You're welcome.
All right, Sister Brittany, you're up next.
I couldn't hear everything that clearly, but my thoughts on African spiritualism, or like the old ways, I think people could get caught up on, this is what our people were doing. Yeah, this is everything that we were into. But from my understanding, we're also dealing with the same people who went into captivity for idolatry. So that's the thin line on thinking just everything that they were doing is righteous. So, but also certain things like natural herbs and healing, obviously, I guess things can be looked at in those regards, but I try to stay away from a lot of things I don't understand.
Very good. Todoroka. Ishi.
I thought it was interesting how the Christian pastor said that the African spirituality is Satanism, because Christianity is basically Satanism. So that was kind of interesting to me, but maybe he doesn't know that. So I don't know. Voodoo has always been, even when I was a Christian, voodoo has always been the thing that I knew, or I felt like wasn't right. And I really still don't know that much about voodoo or African spirituality for that matter. But even as a Christian, I didn't feel like any of that stuff was right. And now being Torah centered and relying on the Most High, I kind of still feel that way. I do feel like how you said before, Ish, like people will mistake a Hebrew Israelite for a witch because of the connection and the power we have through the Most High alone. So, but people who practice idolatry wouldn't think that. Like the woman who practiced voodoo, she wouldn't think that she's a witch, right? It's like she believes she's really doing something positive and everything like that. So, how Sister Brittany just said, I kind of just stay away from stuff I don't understand. And I do feel as though if they're not, I don't know, my sister wife said something about we don't know which creator, in their mind that they were praying to when we saw that. And I agree with that. Like, we don't know if they were actually talking about the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, or if they were talking about a completely different power that they deem as the creator. So, yeah.
Okay. Sister Laurel, you already went. Santa, just at Drusilia. I think you left.
Oh, okay. I was not sure that of the difference between voodoo and witchcraft. I'm not sure what they said about that. Can anybody clear that up for me?
You're not sure about what, sis?
I was not sure about what they said was the difference between voodoo and witchcraft.
The preacher basically said all that stuff was evil and wicked.
Okay, so both of them are the same?
The voodoo preacher, the female voodoo priestess said that witchcraft is turning into animals and doing evil things to people. But she said voodoo is not none of that.
Oh, that's voodoo is not that, but witchcraft is.
Yes, that's what she said.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know the difference between both of them. I know that some people say that voodoo is what we used to do back in the day, but it was turned. It's turned for selfish use. For selfish use, it becomes something else. So there's like a thin line between voodoo and witchcraft. It depends on what your intentions are for the practice. I think that I think people were born with special
gifts,
powers or special gifts that they can use. And I've heard of people that were able to do special things with their gifts. They didn't know why they were born with it. But they started to do whatever they were born to do. I mean, they kind of experimented, and they were looked down upon because of Christianity. No, you don't do that. That's of the devil, or that's of the, so they kind of hide their gifts, because they were able to see stuff, or they were able to tell you things, and they hid their gifts because they were put down a lot in their youth.
You sound like you're talking about me too, sir.
They were put down because of their gifts and their whatever the creator gave to them. So they hid it, and to me, they cover it up and forget about it, or not necessarily forget about it, but they are afraid to develop it, or whatever the gifts were. They're afraid to venture out because of the criticism and the belief that maybe family or friends may have had about it, right? So I don't know. I believe that we're born with a gift for a reason. And to me, even if you're using it evil, that becomes witchcraft. If you're using it not to help the community or to help each other, that becomes witchcraft. If it's used it for selfish gain, it becomes witchcraft. You're
Can I
using it
say something?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Just the same lady said that what used to happen before is not what's happening right now, because they're trying to help people from what has happened to them.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just saying that, you know, if you're born with a gift, it's no use to stifling it because of some other opinions about it, or what is your intentions about using that gift? Because not only one person, but I've heard of more than one person talk about the gift. They're afraid, whatever, because of the the reactions of people and what can happen as a result of venturing out and using the gifts that the Creator gave them. You know?
Well, I was one of those people who stifled my gift.
Why?
Why? Because I thought that I was knowing too much.
What was your gift?
What
was your gift?
Seeing things. Like for instance,
Prophesying?
I missed that.
Your gift, was it prophesying?
I was seeing things. I can give a few examples. I remember one time I was telling I live in Florida. My parents live in the Virgin Islands. And I remember one time I called my mom and I said, Mom, such and such is happening at the house there. And she says, that's impossible. Because I saw it in I'm like Joseph, was a dreamer. I was a dreamer like Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said, that is impossible. That could never be so. And so I say, okay. So I called Dad and I spoke with Dad and I said, Dad, look for such and such. And sure enough, Dad was able to check it out and it was so. So.
Got that from a dream?
Yes. And another example is my my little baby, a toddler. I got up in the night and found the baby trying to open the door. And I was able to grab the baby from the door. Just got up and saw that. Another time, I was able to get up out of my sleep and saw my son trying to take the car while everyone was sleeping because he wanted to learn to drive. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. I saw a fact that I had this guy who was very interested in me and wanted to. He said he had no one, and I had a dream of where he was, the exact house he was, the exact number of the room where he was. One night. So I asked him about that. He said, no such thing, no such thing. And he could put his hand on a stack of Bibles. So I went to that apartment, that complex. It was like an apartment building. So, you know, apartment buildings are big buildings. And I went to that building, went to the exact room, and sure enough, that was his girlfriend in there. So there's a lot of things. So I was able to say to him, no, no, not at all. And I said, you are what was the word I used? A compulsive, is this whatever word, liar. And I do not need you in my life. So it's a lot of stuff,
Yeah, there is
Like
a
I
lot of
told you,
stuff.
I dreamt that the house was on fire when I caught my daughter trying to get her boyfriend in the house, all that stuff. So it's a lot of different things throughout the years. So my children was basically aware of me, and they were like they feel like they couldn't do anything to pass me. So I don't know. So after a while, you know, I think I started to stifle it because I feel like there's nothing around me or people that I connected with that I didn't know anything about what was going on. So I did try to stifle it. There's a lot of stuff.
Laurel,
Yes.
I think mommy did that too. Mommy used to have those two, but she didn't really come out and say anything. She didn't really, you know, because she was deep into Christianity and stuff was evil, you know.
Well, Sister Laura,
Brother Prince.
if you ever hear the creator ever give you a dream about me, please get on my phone and call me.
You know, that's what my dad said. That's what my dad said. After he found out what happened, he said, if anything at all going on with me, please let me know. He did say the same thing. So you're reminding me of what my dad said to me.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one more thing. Go ask the creator for the lottery number and bring it back to me. Let me so I can play it. Go, and don't play it yourself. Give it to me so I can play it. The creator, Brother Prince, need the lottery number for the up and coming Powerball Mega Million, $100 million. Can he get the number? And if he give it to you, matter of fact, text it to me, Tom. Make no mistake. Text me the number, and I'm gonna go play it. If I gotta play it for a week, play it.
Lately, I found myself praying, Father, I know I have actually, you gave me a gift and I try to bury it or get rid of it or turn my back upon it. And I was praying, I'm so sorry for doing that.
Yeah,
you know, lately I found myself saying that to him.
The Father give you a gift, you're supposed to express it to the world. But I want to read something real quick.
Amen.
Let's turn to the book of Exodus, the 29th chapter. Exodus 29. We're going to start the 29th chapter of Exodus, verse 15. Would anybody like to read that for me, please? Any volunteers?
I can.
Okay, tell her about
Verse 15.
15, yes.
You shall also take one ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands on the head of the ram. And you shall kill the ram, and you shall take its blood and sprinkle it all around the altar. Then you shall cut the ram in pieces, wash its entrails and its legs, and put them in pieces and with its head. And you shall burn the whole ram on the altar. It is a burnt offering to the Creator. It is a sweet aroma, an offering made by fire to the Creator. You shall also take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands on the head of the ram. Then you shall kill the ram and take some of its blood and put it on the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and on the tip of the right ear of his sons, on the thumb of their right hand, and on the big toe of their right foot, and sprinkle the blood all around the altar. And you shall take some of the blood that is on the altar and some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aaron and his garments, and on his sons, and on the garments of his sons with him. And he and his garments shall be hallowed, and his sons garments. Also you shall take fat of the ram, the fat tail, the fat that covers the entrails, the fatty lobe attached to the liver, the 2 kidneys, and the fat on them, the right thigh, for it is a ram of consecration, 1 loaf of bread, 1 cake made with oil, and 1 wafer from the basket of the unleavened bread that is before the Creator.
All right,
And you shall
all right, go ahead, read the next verse.
Verse 24, and you shall put all these things in the hands of Aaron and in the hands of his sons, and you shall wave them as a wave offering before the Creator.
Now, if you heard these things, the way I like to put it is, if you have some new neighbors moved on your block and you being a newsy person, peeping in their window, and you see somebody doing something like that in their living room, the first thing you would think is that this person is doing some wicked things. You won't even pay attention and realize that this is out of the book of the law. This is what the Creator gave to the children of Israel to anoint their priest. Because Western civilization has our mind and our way of thinking, we are indoctrinated with them. We are slaves to their ideal of how to serve the Creator. Therefore, anything that is done that we don't commonly do as a people being in this captivity, we think it's evil. We think it's wicked. We think it's witchcraft or sorcery. We think it's something negative. It's because the adversary don't want you investigating what these foreign practices are doing, because it just may be truth. It may be some truth to it. It may be something leading you back unto the Most High. But because they want to keep us mentally enslaved because of the sorcery and the witchcraft that they use upon us, they don't want us to venture into any other realm of understanding. Therefore, if it's not something like Christianity or something that we are accustomed to living that they have taught us, then it's evil and it's wicked. I'm not saying that voodoo is not a bad thing. I haven't investigated voodoo enough to determine if it's a bad thing. But when that woman started talking about her God and her God was a statue, that was enough to let me know that voodoo is not something that we should be embarking upon. Christianity is definitely a bad thing. That I've done plenty of investigation and study for, and I know it is an evil and wicked practice. Those other African brothers, I don't know what those brothers were studying. I heard the name called, but I don't have any understanding or knowledge of it. If the translator translated it correctly, we would have to know more about this one power that they're claiming they serve. Okay? What I'm saying is, just because you're coming across something that you're not familiar with, don't automatically say that it's wicked and evil. Just because you see people doing things that you're not accustomed to seeing, don't be accustomed to saying that it's wicked and evil and run and shun from it and don't participate. Well, I'll tell you not to participate because you don't know what's going on, so don't participate. Don't eat their food and don't participate in what they're doing, their ritual, because you don't know. But you can carefully investigate these practices, these customs, so that you can make yourself informed as to what it is that you're witnessing with your eyes. If you look through somebody's window and you saw them cut up an ox or bull or take some blood and do a ceremony and rub it on somebody's right ear, their big thumb and their big right toe, you would have a problem with that because you are out of tune with your customs and your law as a true Hebrew Israelite servant of the Most High. You're so far out of tune. We're so westernized in almost everything that we do. We still pray to a power that we know nothing about and give him a name and say, this is who he is. And we know nothing about him. The relationship that we have with him is an artificial relationship made up by mankind, taught to us by mankind. When have you ever taken a fast and separated yourself from the physical pleasures of this world and consecrated yourself only to the Most High and asked the Most High to guide you and to teach you and to lead you? When have you ever done that? Because these are the types of things that are needed to be removed and reversed from that curse that we've been under for so long. Solitude and seclusion. Just you and the king of all creation. And if you can do it butt naked. Just you and him. Fast for a significant amount of time. At a minimum, 3 days. At a minimum, no food, no water. At a minimum of 3 days. And when you pray before the Most High, pray to him butt naked, 12 o'clock at night. And surrender your will over to him and let him take control. I promise you, you will have a connection like you've never had in your life with this king, ever. And when you get up off that floor, you'll be transformed into a different individual. Your mind will be so clear. Your thoughts will be so clear. And you will know the way to walk. Your body, your spiritual being will be energized. I'm not here to play games with you. I'm here to lead you to your maker in truth and righteousness. That's what my job and my purpose is right now. And that's who I am. And you have to be willing to accept that in this king. If you really want to know, forget all this stuff you've been taught. None of this stuff matters. All this stuff you've been taught, none of it matters unless you really submit yourself to the will of the Creator. Imai, you have a question?
Well, it's not necessarily a question, but it's kind of like what little sister Laura was saying. Sometimes you bury those gifts because, sometimes you're just not sure of how to deal with it. And then what other people will say about it. Like it's something I talked to you about, like when we first started courting, how as a child, I could see things and I would hear things and things I would dream about would come true and stuff, like the visions and stuff. But then when I came in this way of life, I was told that that was evil. So I started to go away from it. Like I started blocking it in so many ways. Like if I felt, myself going into a certain space, I would just be like, that's evil to the Creator. And then I remember through our courtship, you was teaching me that that's a gift. And the gift isn't evil, it's how I use it. And it made me think about, it just makes me think about, because I've had plenty of dreams and visions, I would say, that the Most High showed me certain things. But it made me think about something last night, when my sis called me, one of the community sisters called me and told me her Abba passed. And remember I told you I had a dream about that I went to his house. Everybody was in all white. And he was sitting there quietly and he called me to the room to talk to me. And then the next thing I know, we were talking about him. He passed in my dream. And I called her and I remember telling her and she was just like, wow, really? And after that, not soon after that, a few months later, he had like a stroke and stuff. And he was, you know, healing, but not healing the best. And then last night when she called me to tell me he passed, I had to go back in my messages to see when I told her that. And it was about a little over a year ago when I called her with that message. And I remember kept saying, you know, throughout the year, I want to go see him. But I also remember like when it first happened, like not wanting to tell her because I didn't want it to become true, you know, and just realizing sometimes that sometimes those messages come to us so that we can take that time to even spend time with that person, you know. And I think about how the creator could have shown me that so that I knew, so when I called her for them to prepare and also for myself to prepare, you know, because I had a close relationship with him. But you know, sometimes we shield ourselves or we shun that part of us because we don't want to be the bearer of bad news or somebody to be like, oh, you're a witch, or, you know, that's evil what you're doing. But, you know, it's kind of like, I think what everybody's saying, that's part of our culture, you know, it's just, I don't think we've been taught so much of it, you know, in culture. It's like, because Christianity was so prominent in most of our lives, that it was always taught that that was, you know, evil, and kind of like what the guy said, African spirituality is demonizing or Satan, worshiping Satan. And I think it's just a lack of clear understanding and acceptance on certain times. And when I think about Israelites now in this day, I think a lot of the backlash or the fight against these gifts is because lack of understanding, and then lack of understanding, and then also still being under the brainwashing of Christianity. Because even though they might say, I'm a Hebrew Israelite or I'm an Israelite, that's still a part of us too. That lineage, that family of ours, that's still in us. Just like the ancient cultures are in us, those cultures that were embedded in us through slavery and all of that are still in us too. And it's like a war inside of us of what's right and what's wrong. And then on the outside of us, it's so much Christianity that we start to believe that what's inside of us that's more prone to Christianity is right, you know, until we truly seek, you know, and try to understand. And it just made me think about a conversation I had the other day about, we talk about the Eastern world, Africans, all that, like it's just so evil. But we, you know, what I said to, I forgot who I was talking to, but what I was saying was, how do we know, oh, I remember now, Sister Muna, how do we know that some of the ways we dress, we act and everything, some of the ways that they dress and act and do, they didn't get from us. Like we didn't get from them. We try to say, oh, we're not gonna dress like that, but we were all on that region at one time. So who knows who began certain things. So it just makes me really understand the spirituality of the gift I have better now versus, you know, when I first came into this way of life. I know as a child, my mother always said, like, in our family, we have seers, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's what you see and how you go about dealing with it and handling it. And don't be afraid of it, you know? So it just made me think about that. And then there's times when, you know, I still have dreams, and sometimes I keep it to myself based off of what I'm trying to understand from the dream before I share it. If you get what I'm saying.
Okay, very good. A point that I'm trying to bring out today is that our culture is intertwined with a lot of ancient customs and traditions of people. Our culture, the demonstration that we saw today in each one of those three different ways of life that we witnessed, there's something in there that plays a part of what we do. For example, the second video had a lot to do with animal sacrifice, where they would cut the animals up and use the blood for a certain purpose. That's our culture. I just read it just now when we were anointing the high priest. In the holies of holies, our most holy, sacred, highest level spiritual person was the high priest. And he was anointed with the blood, and his sons was anointed with the blood of animals. That was a part of their practice. The only problem that I had was that they were given, the one lady said that her deity was a statue, some name she called, and there he is over there. That's an issue for me. We're going to read about that later on today. We're going to read about a lot of things today in our class on the second half. There's a lot of things for us to read about. And we're going to explore a lot of different forms of understanding and different scriptures that I'm sure most of you have no knowledge of. You probably read this 1,000 times, but you ain't read it like we're going to read it today. And that just happens all the time. Another part of the culture, things that I've seen, was at one point, did you see the brother playing the drums? At the one point, drums are a very intricate part of our culture. And a lot of us don't know that, don't realize that, but the drums, it affect us in a certain way spiritually. Yes.
Now, I was going to say what you're saying, the drums, like in certain cultures, like I know in Ghana, when I took African dance, I took a form of Ghanaian African dance, and they had what they call the talking drum. And when you listen to that drum, it makes different sounds, and the way it's played, it's talking to the rhythms are talking to one another, and then they're talking to your spirit. And a lot of times people don't understand when they hear drums why they start to like move a certain way or sway a certain way, because those drums are talking to different parts of them. And learning that, it's like whenever I hear drums, I always try to think about what the message is coming through those drums and who's playing it. Because I mean, sometimes, yeah, the music can be used for evil. But that's so important because a lot of people just play a drum and don't even understand that they're playing a form of a way to send a message, or to talk to one another, or just that's how messages used to be sent through nations. Like you hear a certain drum or you hear a certain way, a certain horn is blown, then you knew something was going on. And even in slavery, I was taught that that's how they would communicate, through a certain way. They hummed a certain song or drummed a certain beat, and it wasn't necessarily a drum that we see today. It was that they would make up as drums to make those sounds and to have those messages, be brought between those different slaves to pass on to another plantation, or, and so on. So I like that you brought that out.
Even the shofar gives a message.
That's right. They both musical.
And I love drums. I love them.
And the natural connection between the physical and spiritual world with the earth is another extremely important thing. If you notice, the dancers were all barefooted. The people was walking around with shoes on, but the dancers were barefooted. Why? Because the spirit of the earth empowers you to move, to think, to feel a certain way from the vibration of the earth itself. You have to absorb the energy of the earth when you return back to a natural essence. This is why when you watch, when the Most High says you make him an altar, you have to make him an altar of unhewn stones. They have to be natural stones that you just walk around and find and compile and put together. They have to be naturally from the earth, because if any man took and tried to alter the shape of that stone, he just adulterated the stone, because he put an instrument upon it and banged it and brought force upon it. And that's not how the Most High moves. The Most High spirit, it operates naturally. Now, let me clarify because I need y'all to understand this. The creator is not a spirit. Clear it up for you once more. The creator is not a spirit. So when you hear me say the Most High Spirit, I'm not saying that the Most High is a spirit. There are spirits that the Most High created that works for him. That's what I mean by the Most High Spirit. Okay? So when you allow the earth to speak to you, to cause your body, your mind, your spirit to react a certain way, there's a spiritual connection between those three things, your spirit, your body, and the spirit of the earth, that brings about a combination of things that open up certain channels and portals within your essence that allows you to relate to the Most High on a different level or plateau than what you've ever done before. Same thing about you going before the Most High, 12 o'clock at night. See, the elements of the universe are bearing record at a certain time. Your body being in a raw form, the way you came in this earth, has much more spiritual strength than your body that's clothed in garments. Because the physical clothing, although they're made out of natural fabrics, in most cases they should always be, but although they're made out of natural fabrics, it still is a barrier that tries to prevent your soul or your spirit from communing with the Most High on high. And a lot of you might not understand this, but this is a fact. If you want to really get through to the Creator because of an emergency or some dying need, desperate situation, 12 o'clock at night, in the raw, go before the King. And it humbles you in a different way. And it allows your portals to be opened to the Most High in a more sincere way. Almost like when Abraham took Eleazar, his servant, and had him swear to him, he took Eleazar's hand and put it under his thigh. Ain't no man gonna be putting their hand underneath another man's thigh unless he a little flaky and he found pleasure in that. But our men didn't move in that attitude, with that attitude. So if one of our men were to put their hand under the thigh of another man, it shows that I meant business, that I'm sincere. I'm willing to do this. And that's how we made oaths from one man to another. And we moved out on that oath. We made that covenant. We gave our word and we kept it. So I need you all to understand that don't take things at face value because you see it and don't understand it, so you automatically dismiss it as something wicked and evil. Learn, research, and study these things. Not so that you will be participating in these things. That's not what I mean. But I need you to learn, study, and research these things so that you will know what's out there. You will know the things and the signs and the symbols when they present themselves. If I said to half of you on the phone right now, Damila Basso, do anybody on here know what I said? Just raise your hand if you know what I said. Now you can take the interpretation. Nobody raised their hand that I see. You can take the interpretation of that and assume so many different things. And that's how it is with religion that you don't understand. Because you can see that or hear that and automatically associate that with whatever you want and make it become real in your mind. So every time somebody say Damila Basso, the first thing you think of is whatever you imagine in your mind. That don't mean that it's true. I would think that house would raise their hand. All right, Brother Benjamin, Sister Abigail.
I think that's give me a glass or give me a cup.
You close.
Oh,
I thought y'all would know though. Don't y'all speak Spanish?
No.
No,
Man.
they don't.
Oh, well, Ben speaks a little bit, not me.
All right. Well,
But
we got,
it isn't give me a kiss or something?
give me a kiss. That's what it is. Abrazo means give me a kiss. That's exactly what it means. Look at that. She knew what how do you want to start? Go ahead, girl. But Brother Ben, you was right. Give me something. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But the point I'm trying to make is things that you don't know, you create a thought or understanding of it in your mind. And you associate that usually with something bad or negative, if it's coming from a spiritual realm that you have no knowledge of. So what I need you to do, and what you need to do for yourself, is study these things so you won't be in the dark. So that when you see somebody cutting up a chicken, you don't automatically rate that to something evil because Christianity said so, or because Islam said so. But you know the process, so you're watching to see what they do, who they worship, and that makes all the difference. Now, it might seem like something simple that I'm telling you to do, so you say, well, I don't really need to do that one way or another, but believe me, you do. Because the lack of understanding brings about ignorance. The desire to not understand brings about laziness. And in this business, if you want to be the best servant to the Most High that you could possibly be, you need to study everything that's out there. Now, let's be careful. That don't mean that you read all these different books. It means that you study what's out there. So you familiarize yourself with these things. These people got a Bible, you don't have to read their Bible. If they got a book on sorcery, witchcraft, and magic, you don't have to read those things. But you should read enough information so that you understand what's out there and what's being spoken and what's being said. I'm not saying submerge yourself in their religion. I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying stay on the outside, but learn and research what it is. You don't need to go down and prostrate the way that they say you're supposed to do that, and how many times they say you're supposed to do it, and with the certain thing that they say you're supposed to do it with. I'm not saying any of that. But search Hinduism, search Buddhism, search Catholicism, and then search out who you are as a child of the Most High. Research all of that stuff so that you know it's no longer guess, or I feel feelings ain't got nothing to do with this. All right? So you have to understand what it is that you do, the practices that you relate to, the things that you shun from. Because the Most High comes in many different forms, but he comes to you. All right, are there any questions or concerns, or anyone have anything that they want to say before we close out this first portion?
I would like to share with the family my project. It should only take a few minutes, if that's okay, or we can do it in the latter part.
Do I need to cut the recorder off or leave it on?
You can leave it on, but if you could share your screen on the internet, and I'll give you a site to go to in
You
the
want me
chat.
to just give it back to you?
No, you can do it if you don't mind.
Okay, what you want me to do?
Go to
Go to
Truth.
the internet first, right?
Yeah, go to the internet, and then I'll give you a site in the chat.
All right, let me open the internet up. Okay, I think we opened. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay, where would you like me to go?
It's Truth, TRUTH, the letter B, and then told.info. And you might have to type that into the browser bar.
Take a long time, sis.
Oh, while that's loading, I was working on this project because like I said, I question a lot of things since I was a kid, and I feel like more people need to question what they do and some traditions that they follow. So I thought about creating this site that would give some information on a lot of things to spark question in people's lives. So they can question, things that their parents may have been doing, some holidays that they celebrate and things like that. So
You made this?
yes, I made this site. It took a while, but
Wow.
trial and error.
Yeah.
So, I welcome everybody to take a look at it and give me feedback and if I should change anything or add anything. But this is the homepage, which just tells a little bit about the site. And if you go to the top, you can you can skip the About Us page, but if you go to the laws page in the upper right, I put not all, but I put some of the laws that, well, you can look at it. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Wow. So you
This
created
looks so good.
this?
Yes, I did. I had no experience in doing this. That's why it took me so long, but I just started Googling and researching on how to do it.
This looks so good.
Thank you.
Wow. Look at that dedication though. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody make her do this.
Yeah, this is
Wait,
awesome.
can we go to this page when it's time for us to give a commandment?
Yes, you can. And the thing behind this is I think about especially younger people that are not in this walk and they just follow, Instagram and TikTok and they just do things like sheep, just, follow everybody else. So I want to spark interest because sometimes if you talk to young people and you say scripture, they're like, okay, I don't want to hear what you have to say. But if you notice, if you go on the next page, you got to go up to the top.
Can I say something before I go to the next page?
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
Look how she got employment and servant combined in one chapter. She understands that.
Mm-hmm.
She understands what it means. Now, how do I go to the next page, sis?
Go all the way back to the top. And the next page is
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
12 tribes.
12 tribes. Yep. So this goes a little bit into the lineage of the 12 tribes. And you can scroll down and it shows, well, when you want to.
This is deep, sis. I like it. Oh, I like this. And you created all this.
Yes.
That woman. Yo, bro. I don't need to say nothing. Wow.
Yeah, it's deep.
He helped me too, because some of the stuff I had to verify.
Look, she got the moving scrolls. Oh, this chick.
Mhm.
Oh gosh.
This
Sis,
is great, sis.
man, this is
Thank
really nice, sis.
Thank you.
A definitely great tool.
Look at this. Blessing of the 12 tribes. Wow. Are you from the lineage of one of these tribes? Where are these tribes at today? This is nice. Truth be told, contact us. Questions, comment, truth be told, quest. What's that? ORIS?
I can't see it. It's too small.
ONS or O?
Oh, questions. Truth be told, questions at Gmail. But there's a page for that. So let's go back up to the top. And then you can go to the words.
Words.
Yep. So this is something because, you know, I know you talk about this a lot too, but the words that we use today, we don't really know their origin and what we're doing or what we're saying. So it talks about that a little bit.
Somebody been studying. This is nice. What language is this?
I think it is, oh, I forgot. Is it Roman?
It's
No,
Greek, I think.
or
something,
Greek.
One of those.
I think it says it in the top. I don't, this is one of the older
Language.
pages.
Yeah, it's either Greek, because the Romans spoke Latin.
Yeah, oh, yeah, so that's Greek.
Might be Latin.
Yeah. This is nice.
Better.
You did the days of the months of the year too?
I didn't do the months of the year, but I went into idolatry and then I went into people that pray to God and the word amen and other things that most people use when they pray.
Truth be told, what?
Info.
Let's take a look at a word most of us use when praying to the Creator. Look how the backdrop is changing. Amen. 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 Interjection. It is so. So be it. Use as a prayer, creed, or other formal statements of expression solely, ratification, or agreement. Adverb, verb, verily, truly, now, an utterance of the interjection, amen, a musical setting for such an utterance, an expression of an concurrence or accent. Seems simple enough of the word when praying, when used when praying, but let's look at a definite. Let me move this over. Definition that isn't so frequently shared or spoken. Amen or Amun. Now, Egyptian mythology, a primeval deity worship, especially at Thebes, the personification of air or breath represents as either a ram or a goose, later identified with Amen Ra. Now, sis, you do know that Amen and Ra were two different deities brought together?
Yes.
Okay. When we pray to the Creator at night or in the morning or even in the middle of the day, and in our prayers with Amen, who are we really? This is deep. I like this, sis. Who are we really directing our prayers devotion to? An Egyptian deity. Practicing idolatry. You decide for yourself. That's deep. Let's look at another word we typically use in prayer. God. How many of you pray to God? What is the definition of the word G-O-D? This is deep. A supernatural being who worship as the controller of some part of the universe or some aspects of life in the world, or is the personification of some force-related adjective, divine, an image, idol, a symbolic representation of such a deity. Any person or thing to which expressive attention is given money was his God. A man who has qualities regarding as making him superior to other men. The gallery of a theater in plural. In one definition that is most interesting is an image, idol, a symbolic representation of such a deity. If this word G-O-D is a representation of a deity, how could it be the name of the Creator you pray to? What is the definition of a deity? According to Wikipedia, she is like debating publicly with the world and then displaying, this is what I'm talking about. This is work. This is how you do work. This is deep. I like this. A deity or God is a postulated, what is that? Preternatural being? I don't even know what that word is. Preternatural being, usually, but not always, of significant power, worship through holy, divine, or sacred, held in high regards or respect by human beings. They assume a variety of forms, but are frequently depicted as having human or animal form. We heard that today when we was reading about what witches do. All right, where am I at? Some faiths are traditionally considered it blasphemous to imagine. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's 2:16, y'all. If anybody want to leave, y'all welcome to leave. We'll be returning back at, let's say 3:50, go all the way to 3:30. Let's say we come back at 3:30. So the second portion of class will be coming out of the book of Genesis. We'll be back at 3:30 for anyone who wants to leave. But if y'all want to stay, y'all are welcome to stay. 3:30, we'll be starting the second portion of class back, and we'll be coming out of the book on that half. Such natural phenomena as lightning, blood storms, other acts of God and miracles are attributed to them, and they may be thought to be the authorities or controllers of every aspect of human life, such as birth and the afterlife. Some deities are asserted to be the directors of time and fate itself, to be the givers of human law and morality, to be the ultimate judges of humans' worth and behavior, and to be the designers and creators with the small c, creators of the earth or the universe. Some of these gods have no power at all. They are simply worshipped. Deity and God can be used interchangeably. With that being said, why would you pray to the word God when it could be interchanged with the word deity? Furthermore, the creator of all, the creator with the big C, the creator of all things, the highest supreme power, the most high, capital M, capital H, could not be called God. If there are at least 4 definitions of the word God in the dictionary, you will notice on this site, we refer to the Most High as the Creator, Ha Yotzer, not a Elohim. This girl is sharp. Boy, the Creator is the one who created everything on the earth, in the heavens, the seas. Why pray to the word meaning deity? Do we even know that the name of the Creator is? Do we even know what the name of the Creator is? Something to think about. If you were a man named Ben, just happened about Ben, would you answer if someone called you out by saying man? Or if you are a woman named Abigail, there you go, would you answer if someone called out by saying woman? This is nice. I like this. Oh, what we passed the page? That's it?
That's it for now. Well, I'm gonna keep
You
that.
got me going. You tell. This is nice, sis.
Okay. And then the next tab or the next page is holidays. Yep.
Thanksgiving. This is nice. I'm sure you got a lot to say about Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes.
What's this one? Christmas. Oh, boy. Christmas.
I don't know why those pictures are like that, but it's supposed to be moved up. I'll have to take a look at
No, they won't move. I tried it.
that. And this is going to be an evolving site. So every time I do research, I'll add to the holidays or the words. And then you can go to the next page. So I won't say too much about this because it is a Shabbat, but my second project I'm working on is an online store, which should launch at the beginning of February. And I'll share that with the family once it's viewable.
Commandment keeper?
Yes, that's the brand, and the site will be commandmentkeeper.com.
Is this Hebrew?
No, that's I think it's a spool of thread with a needle.
Yeah, that's Hebrew though. That's a Hebrew letter.
It is?
Yeah. So is this.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to look that up.
This could be the hay. If you stand it up, it will be the hay. Or reverse it in the other direction, it'll be a hay. And if you leave it like that, it could be a mean. And this would be an aleph. This is an aleph right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Ancient Hebrew.
Hmm. Now, the last page, which is, yep, that one. So this is just something, if anybody wants, truth be told, to research like a holiday or a word or some kind of traditional whatever, if you go down a little bit, there's a contact page where you put in your name and your information. And then if you look to the left, it tells you that whatever you want research, I'll do the research and then I'll upload it to the site.
This is nice. I like this. Sis. Nice
And-
prop.
Thank you. And any comments or criticism, please let us know.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, boy. You know, it's good to be a leader, right? A leader of people. It is. It's real good to be a leader of people. To be in a position of leadership, let's put it that way. To be in a position of leadership, but one thing any man or woman that is in a position of leadership should understand and should know to be considered a good leader is that if you ain't got strong leaders around you to be a part of your people, then you ain't got nothing. Everybody that's in the body should have something to contribute. Y'all understand what I'm saying? If you don't have intelligent people around you, people who are capable, able, and doing things, then you're not a leader. You need to go shut up, sit down, and be quiet somewhere in the corner. Because you're making a big mistake, misguiding, misleading people. But if you got a conglomeration of people putting forth great effort that are able and capable people that can go out and do things on their own, now you got something seriously in motion. And that's what this is all about. Like what the sister just demonstrated just now, with all this that she's done, that she's accomplished, that she's achieved, without anybody having to say, go do that. She went out and did it. She showed that she has leadership skills. She's going to contribute. She's going to be a part of. She has the ability. Those type of things are very important when you sit in positions of leadership. These are the type of people you have to have in order to make a thing be successful. I mean, everybody doesn't have to demonstrate their leadership skills by creating websites or being informative. Some people demonstrate their leadership skills by just being the person to take out the trash, to collect the trash, to organize the trash, to give us a certain trash day, and deal with that whole ramification of trash. Another person that's a leader might be somebody that takes care of the children, organizes the children, takes care of the sick, organizes the sick, make sure they get what they need. And whenever somebody's fall down, they got a certain remedy or medicine that they know how to treat them. They study the herbs so that they can help. Everybody, all of that is needed, and we all come together. Just like the one brother. The one brother, he's not here, but his Isha, soon to be Isha, is present. And what he does is he farms. That's his leadership thing. That's what he contributes. That's what he would bring to a community. He would take care of the livestock. He would take care of the animals. He'll go out, open up a business and make money for the community. This is what I'm talking about when I say you have to have leadership people with you as a leader in order for you to be successful at anything you do. I like to mention this so that people know. In ancient Babylon used to be one of the richest nations on the earth. And the reason why they contributed ancient Babylon to being how wealthy it was is because they say, and I believe them, that the richest people in Babylon was the majority of the people. Everybody had a way of making money, and they all contributed it back into the pot to make Babylon great. People didn't make money and keep it to themselves and go off and don't share their money. The money regenerated through the community over and over and over and over again, which made them great. Financially, physically, it made them great. We have to do the same thing. Everybody here, a portion of your money should go to everything that we do to feed so we can grow great together. And that's the type of mindset we have to have. If that brother came along and decided he wanted to open up a kosher store in his heart of Sparta, and he works hard and gets the animals and feed the animals and come up with an agreement and how he's going to work with the community, and he ain't got the money, the community should all get together. Each household should get together and help that brother to get the money that he needs to open that business. This is what I'm talking about, fam. That's communal living. All that other stuff, we ain't doing nothing. We got a slave master over top of us that's hitting us with the whip. That's what that's called. Communal living, real communal living, is making sure that the poor, the fatherless, the widows, the homeless, that they have what they need to survive. And one of the most important things in that is schools, educating our children. We already got that started. We already got the school up and running. So we already educating our children. Now we got to get the homes on the land where we can actually provide the needs of our people. Who with me? Y'all with me? I hope y'all are, because we getting it done. We got the land, we got the school, we got a lot of plans in the makings, but those plans can't come into fruition without you all and without your support and help. So whatever you can do, do it. Wherever your expertise is, then do it and contribute it to the nation. Therefore, the Most High bless you for your efforts and your work and all that you do. Any questions or concerns, family?
No. This family is a family after my own heart.
Thank you, sis. We got a lot of work to do, y'all. We got a lot of work to do. We got to look out for each other. All right, we're going to take our break. We'll be back at 3:30. May the Most High be with you all. Until then, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.